Hi, this is Nick Brandon from TechWork. Um, Today I'm going to answer the question, how can my office staff and I work remotely? So the reason I'm covering this now is because as I speak, it's the 26th of March 2020, it's Thursday. On Monday this week, the UK was in full lockdown because of COVID-19. So with us being in IT and telecoms, we spent the past 10 days, 12, 14 days just dealing with customers, um, getting their staff working at home remotely, whether that be in terms of telephony or uh, computing. So I'm going to cover a few things today to help you out, hopefully. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the internet connectivity that you're using. Let's just talk about your office internet connectivity for a moment. A lot of organisations have been getting away with using normal broadband, that's copper broadband, or even fibre broadband, which is a bit faster or a lot faster, and spending sort of 20, 30, £40 a month by doing so, plus the line rental. It's been a bit of a false sense of security for a lot of businesses, really, because as people are moving towards using the internet more and more with cloud-based services and streaming and such like, those kind of connections have really slowed down. What's more, a lot of businesses and organisations are using consumer type broadband like BT Infinity. So if you're a small organisation, it's always best, if you're going to stick with what we call a traditional broadband connection, really it has to be a fibre connection, and not everyone can get fibre, and we can tell you whether you can or not. You need to be using a business only type broadband, the benefit of which is that it's only going to be used by businesses and not by all and sundry, not by kids going onto their PlayStations and streaming Netflix and Disney Plus and all the other things that get streamed. If we're talking about somebody that's perhaps more up for spending more money, what we call a lease line has become more and more affordable now. So a lease line is not a broadband connection as you would have at home. It's a proper private connection, more often than not delivered via direct fibre into your premises. If you compare it to a fibre broadband, which the maximum speed you get is 80 meg download, 20 meg upload, and you could be getting a lot less than that, even with fibre, depending on how far your premises is from your green cabinet at the end of the street. If you compare that to a lease line is going to give you round about 100 meg up and down, which is totally yours. You can have 1,000 meg up and down if you want to if you want to pay a bit more. But the point is that it's totally yours. It's guaranteed speed all the time. It's not shared by anybody, and if there's a problem with it, it gets fixed really quickly because there's a service level agreement on it. The affordability of lease lines has come down a lot in the last few years. They tend to start now about £200 a month, and bearing in mind that is still quite a bit more than the broadband, it can be paid for by doing other things, which I'll come on to. So lease lines are definitely becoming much more affordable, much more accessible. What's more, the government is paying up to £2,800 worth of subsidy towards the costs of putting fibre into your building, which generally means that 85% of businesses will find that there's no additional cost for putting this in. So if you want to look at what you can do with regards to your office connection, you might be pleasantly surprised, and if you do want to do that, all you have to do is get in touch with us with your address and a landline phone number on the site, and that applies to home as well. We can tell you instantly what you can get and what it might cost and how long it might take. If you're talking about now moving people to work at home remotely because of the COVID-19 thing, and many people are right now, of course. Of course, at home you'll probably be using a consumer broadband, maybe Virgin or Sky, TalkTalk, PlusNet, BT Infinity, Utility Warehouse, all sorts of suppliers. The problem with that is that it's just a public internet connection. You're sharing it. They're probably doing traffic shaping, which basically means that when the network gets busy, everyone's speed just goes down. Kids come home from school when they were at school at 3:30, 4 o'clock, everything just goes. So if you are going to be working at home, you've got core staff that you want to send home, maybe consider having a proper business broadband put in for them, which probably won't cost them any more, or cost you any more, but it'll be significantly better. So if we talk about the actual remote working solutions that you can deploy in your business, if we talk about voice, for example, so a lot of people have been phoning us up and contacting us over the last couple of weeks because of the virus outbreak, saying, I've got people in the office, I need to get them working at home in terms of their telephony, how can I do that? So there are various different ways of doing it. The good news is, if you need to transition to this really quickly because of this virus, you can do it, and we've done it for customers and even non-customers, and I'll talk to you about how we do that. But going back to basics, of course you can just divert your phone lines to your mobile. If you've got ISDN connections or an analog line at home or in business or whatever, you can phone your supplier up, say I need to divert my calls. They might take a few hours or a few days. You might have to pay extra. You might have to pay extra charges every month. You will definitely have to pay the onward portion of each call, probably at list price, so it's going to cost you money. The other thing is, if you do have an ISDN connection at home and you do divert your calls, you'll be diverting all the numbers to one single number, which is better than nothing, obviously, but it just means that if you've got lots of people with direct dial numbers and different group and departmental numbers, all of those calls are going to divert to one single number. One option could be to use a company like officefront.co.uk, who answer your calls on your behalf, so you could divert them all to them. They could take your calls, they could then email your members of staff with the messages from your callers, and then you could service them that way. So that's a basic way of doing things, and that might work for you. If you do have a reasonably good phone system and a reasonably good supplier, then you can say to them, okay, I want to divert this handset, I want to divert that handset, I want to divert these to different numbers, I want to divert my main number somewhere else, I want to divert an accounts number somewhere else, a sales number somewhere else. That can be done. Problem with that is that the calls are coming into your ISDN and then they're diverting off through the phone system. So for each time that happens, there's 2 calls or 2 lines in progress. So if you've got, say, 8 lines, which a lot of small businesses might have on ISDN 30, for example, if you've only got to have 4 calls doing that, and you're busied out, the 5th call is going to get engaged until those lines become free. So although that's an option, it's not brilliant. Some of you might have phone systems that are more modern. You might have something called a SIP trunk. A SIP trunk is kind of an internet-based phone line, so it's a phone line that goes along your internet connection rather than an old ISDN connection. That is better because you should be able to provide call your SIP trunk provider and say to them, I want to divert this number there, 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 and so on. So it's more functional, and you haven't got that line capacity problem because the diverts are being done at the network level by the SIP trunk provider. So that's a possibility. For those of you that are in a good position where you've already migrated to a hosted VoIP solution, so that's a hosted phone system, sometimes called an internet phone system. This is where you've removed the premises-based control unit and the ISDN out of your office, and instead you've migrated all of the numbers to a hosted phone system, and you've then deployed handsets that have to basically find an internet connection wherever they are and connect to the hosted phone system. For those of you that are in that position, this is going to be really a lot easier. You can basically get your staff to pick their phone up, give them a power supply or a power injector, go take them home, those handsets, plug them into their routers, plug them into the power, and they should work. Not always instantly. Sometimes there's a router setting that needs changing, but it will work. For those of you that don't want to give your handsets out to your staff, you can just say to them, go home, check your email. We're going to send you an email with a bit of software as a download. It will have a username and password on it. You log into it, and then that puts an application onto your laptop, which essentially is pulling your desk phone off of your desk and putting it onto your laptop. So, for instance, I don't have a desk phone. I just have my laptop with my software on it. Someone calls me, it rings, I answer it, I speak into my laptop, I transfer the call to another member of staff, I conference with other members of staff, I can put them on hold, do all the normal functionality that I get with a desk phone. So that's a good option. And when I dial out, I can click and dial from my contacts. I have all my call history. I have all of my functionality that I normally use on my desk phone. I can click and dial from Outlook perhaps. I can click and dial from my CRM system. I can even hover over a web page with a phone number and click and dial from that. So that's a really, really good option. And also I've got a soft phone application on my soft phone, on my smartphone, excuse me, which does the same thing. So it pulls my desk phone onto my smartphone. So I could be in Kuala Lumpur, it doesn't matter. As long as I've got a 4G connection or a Wi-Fi connection, then I can work on my soft phone as if I was at my desk, which is obviously very, very useful indeed. And there are a few other things you can do with telephony. You can specify that you're going to go home and use your landline at home as your calling number and your called number. A bit more clunky, but it's possible, and not all systems will do that. So with voice, it's really, really easy within literally a couple of seconds. If you're using a phone system in the office and you need your staff to go home, regardless of how old your phone system is, we can do it. We can do it. Literally within a few seconds, we can have that set up and emailed to them. And we can send out the number from their soft phone, which is your normal main published number. So when they're calling your customers, it looks and feels like they're calling from your office because they're getting the office number when they pick up the phone. So that's a really good way of doing it. We'll come back to voice in a second. Just going on to computing. If you're normally sat in an office and you're accessing a server, which some people still are, some people aren't, they've moved away, probably a good thing, but some people are still accessing servers, and you want to work at home, your IT people, or we, or your IT department, whoever it is, they can set up what we call a virtual private network. So a home user can log on to a virtual private network, and they can access files on the server as if they were sat in the office on their computer. That can be done. It is a security consideration because we have to set up VPNs for people. That has to go through your firewall, takes some setting up, takes your IT department to do it. Sometimes you get queries, my VPN's not working, blah blah blah. So that's possible. Another way of doing this is we can set up a remote desktop session. So similarly, we can set up a remote desktop icon which they click. That then logs them on through your network, firewall and router into your office and onto their machine, their PC. So PC has to be on, which isn't always the case, but if their PC's on, they can do that, and they can work almost pretty much as if they were sat at their desk. Not exactly, but pretty much. Some businesses will have something called terminal services, which lends itself already to this kind of thing. Some businesses will have a hosted desktop type solution, which again lends itself to this kind of thing. A lot of businesses will still be accessing servers. Why they're doing it, it's just a matter of they haven't got around to it, or they haven't thought it important enough to prioritize it, or there may be a good reason why they have kept a server in their office. Sometimes there are some good reasons, but even so, there's a very good argument for moving most of their stuff off of their server so that their people can work remotely and still retain their server for whatever it is they need it to do. But anyway, that's a bit of a hybrid solution, which sometimes is good for people, and we can talk about that. So that's all about making your workforce agile. It can be done. It's pretty easy to do. You need to know what you're doing. You need to deal with people that know what they're doing. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. I'm going to talk about now Office 365, which is a Microsoft product, which if you haven't moved to Office 365 and you're a small to medium sized organization, you really need to be thinking seriously about doing it. There's a lot of good reasons to do it. It can be done depending on how much is involved, how much work is involved, can be done in a few hours seamlessly. Most of the time we're migrating people from servers and from email-based servers in their office, and we're migrating all the data over a weekend to Microsoft's cloud, so that when their people leave on Friday and come in on Monday, they're working. Zero disruption. So it can all be done. The benefits of Office 365 are numerous, and I'm not going to list them all now, but I'm going to tell you some of them. Firstly, you can work from anywhere. So we can set up something called SharePoint, which is part of Office 365. And let me just be clear, Office 365 Business Premium, which gives you pretty much everything I've spoken to you about, it's £11 a month per user. It's nothing really. So going back to SharePoint, SharePoint's part of Office 365, so we can set up a SharePoint architecture, folder architecture for you, so you can have all of your admin, your customers, your financials. Everyone can have different access and privileges to different folders, so not everyone can see the same thing. And there you can store all of your files that you would normally store maybe on your computer normally, or on your server in your office. That's all stored on that virtual folder architecture in a logical manner, so it's nice and clean, and everyone can access it, given the privileges, of course, and you can store your customer data and everything in there. Excuse me. If a member of staff wants to, they can still retain like a My Computer type situation on Microsoft Office 365, which is like a My Documents on Microsoft's cloud. So it's not on their local machine, but it is on the cloud. And because it's on the cloud, like all of the SharePoint folders and files, they can access it from any device, anywhere, from any location, as long as they have an internet connection. So that's definitely doable. And as I say, we can do that really quickly for customers. We don't really have to often involve their IT company. Sometimes we have to deal with their domain logins and stuff like that, but it can all be done seamlessly. Come in on a Monday morning, having left on a Friday, everything's set up. Obviously there's some cost to do that because it's our engineering time and know how to do that. It doesn't cost you as much as you might think, but the benefits really are fantastic, because you don't need necessarily a server in the office anymore. You haven't got to upgrade that tired old server. You haven't got to keep it up to date with software levels, software patches, Windows updates. You haven't got to upgrade it to a new level of software. You haven't got to pay to have it supported, maintained, backed up. All the backups can be sorted, cloud-based backups. All the virus software can be put on the local machines very, very easily. With Office 365, you get something called Teams. Teams is sort of a derivative of Skype. Skype's kind of old now. Teams is Skype for business. That's a fantastic product which comes free with Office 365. We use it internally for all of our chat. So all of our people are on different chat threads. We know exactly what's going on. You know, rather than emailing someone asking them a question, phoning them asking a question, we can just chat in our threads, and they see it instantly on their smartphone or on their laptop. People get involved in conversations about customers, means you can just answer customer problems back. Queries are instantly answered because people have the answers, or if they don't have the answers, they can look stuff up on their SharePoint drive or point people to the location of those files or folders that they're looking for. So it really is very, very good indeed. So I'd definitely say if you haven't looked at Office 365, look at it. You're going to get all of the latest Windows Office software. So you're going to get Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, all of that normal stuff that people use. It's always going to be the latest up-to-date software. Bearing in mind that Microsoft always bringing out new features on their software, and all these new features are coming out regularly, and they're all designed to make people more efficient, make things happen more quickly, make things more professional. You know, it's a no-brainer, seriously. If you've got users that don't need all of that and they just need email, because all the email's done within Office 365, they don't need potentially the Word and all that kind of stuff. You can just pay a lot less per month and just give them web access to their Office 365 email account. So you know, you can mix and match these kinds of things. So Office 365 definitely worth looking at. It's £11 a month and you get a lot of stuff. You get advanced threat protection from your emails, cuts out spam. It automatically uses artificial intelligence to sort your inbox into stuff that's important, like focused emails, and other, which it deems to be less important. Sorts out your junk mail, spam. You know, it's very good. If somebody goes in and deletes a load of data because they're a disgruntled employee, you can always get it back. Stops data loss. Always has backups of files, so you don't lose stuff. It's all in Microsoft's cloud, so it's as secure as it's going to be. They have all the ISO accreditations and what have you. You can also do additional backups of that data if you want to. You can also pay for other services on top, which may not be necessary. But the other thing it does do is we're Cyber Essentials certified. For those of you that don't know, Cyber Essentials is the government's benchmark for making sure your organisation is protected from cyber threats and all sorts of nasty things that are out there. So Cyber Essentials we're certified for. If you have Office 365, you've already ticked a lot of the boxes that you have to tick for Cyber Essentials. So it would be really in everyone's interest. Every organisation should really be Cyber Essentials certified. It costs £300. For an extra £100 you get cyber insurance, and it's basically a self-assessment questionnaire that you tick. We can do that ticking for you, and we can tweak things and make it all secure for you, so we can take you through the whole process. It's a good thing to put on your website. It's a good USP when you're selling your services. You can say to your customers, we're Cyber Essentials certified. And we can also add in things like GDPR into that mix. And if you're dealing with government departments, you have to have Cyber Essentials Plus, which is all of what I've described, plus you get penetration tested. So you will get people dialing into your network to test that your network is secure, and then they'll do a report, and then they'll give you a tick if they can't get in, basically. So, and that's an annual thing that you have to do. Anyway, gone off piste a little bit, but so yeah, we've covered voice, we've covered IT. Just talk a little bit more about VoIP. So I mentioned, going back to it, business internet connections, that people are paying more for more expensive connections. The reason why they can do that is because if they cancel their ISDN and migrate all their numbers to VoIP, if they ditch their phone system, so they don't have their maintenance costs. When they've cancelled their ISDN, they don't have their line rental, they don't have to pay for call charges, they don't have to pay for direct dial numbers, caller ID, and all these peripheral services. They lose all of those costs, and they replace it with just a £15 a month, in our case, monthly charge per user for hosted telephony. We can do a bill analysis for you, which shows you your before costs, this is what you're paying now, and shows you your after costs, this is what you'd be paying if you went to hosted telephony. And believe me, you'd be very surprised, and probably pleasantly surprised, at what happens, because quite often you can move to hosted VoIP telephony and you can actually be better off per month. So I'm going to give you a new phone system with loads of new features, free handsets, if you sign a 3-year agreement. I'll give you all this stuff, and you're actually going to be spending less. It's like a no-brainer. And I know it sounds too good to be true. Believe me, in the majority of cases, that's what happens. You have some one-off costs because we have to be paid to set it all up, and there's some costs there, and you might need a router and a switch, but really, you know, it pays for itself, believe me. There are some cases where it doesn't pay for itself and you might be paying more, not that many, but it does happen. But when you factor in the fact that you might be getting extra functionality, much better resiliency, redundancy, remote working facilities, you know, things like call recording, contact center, call management information to show how when your busy times are, who's making what calls out your office, you know, all of that stuff, it all really does become a very attractive commercial proposition and an operational proposition. So how do we do that? How do we do it? Well, we basically do a bill analysis before and after. We can do this for IT as well, and we just show you what the commercials are. And if you want to go for it, we come to see you, or at the moment we're in COVID-19 lockdown, so we probably won't come to see you, but we can do the bill analysis, and we would then manage the whole process for you. All of your phone numbers would be retained. If it's IT that's migrating to the cloud, all of your email addresses would be retained, and all of your old emails that you had for various staff members, you'd still see them when you migrate. So it can all be done. It can all be done. A lot of businesses have been saying, how can I transition to this now? I've got to send my staff home. I really have to send them home now. How can I do that? And can I do it? And the answer is actually yes, you can do it. Depending on the IT side, how much data is involved, within a few hours we can set you up with SharePoint site, and we can migrate your data. If you've got a lot more data, it might take longer. We have to do it over a weekend, but it can be done. In terms of voice, if you're sat there now, you've got an old phone system, and you need to send your staff to work at home, we can do it. We can send them an email. Within a few minutes they'll have an email with a software download, a username and password. They'll log on, they'll be making calls, they'll be sending out the normal office number so it looks and feels like they're in the office, and you can divert your inbound calls to them, and we could make it feel like a hunt group, so it's calling lots of different people. It can be done literally within a few minutes. It might take longer than that because you're going to have to get your provider to divert the calls. That's the old delay of dealing with pretty rubbish telephone providers, many of which are rubbish to be fair, but it can be done. So I do hope that's of interest. I do hope that's useful. If you're sitting there thinking, I need to get my staff working at home efficiently, I need it done now, I didn't do it, and I have been regretting it, and now I'm really regretting it, please get in touch with us. You can contact us on 01892 578 666. You can email us at helpme@techwork, that's TEC work.co.uk, helpme@techwork.co.uk. just have a look at our website, and that's techwork.co.uk, and get in touch. And we know what we're doing. I've been doing this 25 years. We offer wow factor service. I hope that's been of use to you. Please get in touch and have a good day and stay safe.